Perfect.
Although when you asked me to speak back for Farbrengen, so now in retrospect, after having prepared for this one, I was thinking, I said, well, why don't I pick one of the easier ones? Whatever the easy ones, because there's other Farbrengens of the year, there's other Yom Tovim of the year, minor Yom Tovim, so-called minor Yom Tovim, I don't know what a minor Yom Tovim is. I had a guy in my shul who says every day he'd go to work, and he'd come home, his wife said to him, how did you do today? He said, I made a chagai. What? A chagai, a minor prophet. It's not that funny, but I don't know what a minor prophet is, and I don't know what a minor Farbrengen is or minor Yom Tov is. But some of them, it's much easier to point out. Chopei Shabbat, we know what that is. The Rebbe's passed away, and we have to know in the relationship to the Rebbe. It's something you can put your finger on, or obviously the Yom Tov, something which says in the Torah, something says even in Mishnah, it's something that says that it is a Yom Tov. But when I started thinking about what I was going to say to that, I realized I don't actually know what Tu B'Shvat is, and I don't really know why we celebrate, and I don't really know what we're celebrating. So I started before I didn't even think of anything to say, and obviously I looked at the Rebbe, I looked at different places. I actually want to know what Tu B'Shvat is, and what the source of this, this minhag atik, this ancient minhag to Farbrengen on Tu B'Shvat, which turns out is not really so ancient at all. And it's not really so ancient to even to celebrate on Tu B'Shvat. And by the way, when I mention Tu B'Shvat, obviously I mean Chamishas B'Shvat. If I use the word Tu B'Shvat, it's clearly a shorthand, but Chamishas B'Shvat, my apologies. So, in modern day Israel, it's turned into some kind of Arbor Day. They plant trees and they do all this, it's everything what we do on an Arbor Day, it's a celebration of that. But obviously it's got nothing to do with that. And the source of it is actually quite interesting. The real only source in any of these celebrated Sfarim is obviously the Mishnah. The Mishnah begins Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah hangs there for Rosh Hashanah. There is a Rosh Hashanah on Echad B'Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah L'Malachim, which is Rosh Hashanah for the year. There's Rosh Hashanah, which is first day of Elul, first day of Shvat, according to Beis Shammai, and according to Beis Hillel is the 15th day of Shvat. So, first of all, it's quite interesting. None of the other Rosh Hashanahs have machlokes. Everybody agrees in Rosh Hashanah of first day Tishrei. Everybody agrees Rosh Hashanah first day of Elul. Everybody agrees that Rosh Hashanah L'Malachim is first day of Nisan. The one that's actually machlokes in Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is actually Rosh Hashanah of Ilonis, which is the Chamishas B'Shvat. And interesting enough, the Rebbe points out, it's actually quite extraordinary that if you have a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai says it's Rosh Chodesh of Shvat, and Beis Hillel says 15th day of Shvat, which I guess is the distinction between whether something is on the new moon or the Kaimasira of Ashkenazah, when the moon is already in its full, in its ascendancy. So it must be something which is specific to the way Beis Hillel think, and we must them like Beis Hillel, that it's the 15th day of Shvat, and therefore by definition it must have something to do with the midas, if you will, the way of life of Beis Hillel, which is Chesed versus Gvura. The Rebbe goes into some degree of, he goes into some degree of distinction between the two, and the life lessons we can learn about the fact that it is a chesed yontif, that it's the yontif when actually time is given. But the Rebbe actually asks a very interesting question. The same sikha, the Rebbe says, if you think about it, it's actually we're celebrating this yontif on the wrong day. Because if you actually go into the Mishnah and say what exactly when it says it's Rosh Hashanah L'Ilonis, when you go into the Mishnah and it says that you go Echad B'Shvat, the 15th day of Shvat is Rosh Hashanah L'Ilonis. What's Rosh Hashanah L'Ilonis per se? So, whereas there's a few halachic distinctions about Rosh Hashanah L'Ilonis. There are a few halachic distinctions. There are, interesting enough, 2 or 3 places that I saw the Rebbe's actually saying to Modi Malach by Rabbi Zeben. And I had a look at Modi Malach as well. What does Rabbi Zeben have to say? Because the Rebbe 2 or 3 times actually mentions and references to it. So Rabbi Zeben mentions there's 3 or 4 different halachic distinctions about what the Rosh Hashanah for an Elon is. He says it's got to do with Maisa, it's got to do with Maisa Rishon and Sheni. So Maisa, that the day of the year when you have to be when you are Torah and Truma, or you are Maasa Masas, when you have to give your tithes, so you have to give your donations, you can obviously collect a large amount from the fields, and therefore then you can obviously take a large amount, let's say fruit for the moment, you take a large amount of fruit and X amount of it you're going to give off to stock. And so you have to know, let's say you collected X over X amount of days, you can take from one day's produce the next days and give it to Trumas and Maaseh, Master Sheni. But he says that that's the Rosh Hashanah, Ad Kamasula, until now you can no longer, that's last year's crops, this is next year's crops. It's got two connotations about Orla, about the fruit of 1 year's, obviously when a tree grows, it's a year old, first years, second years, third years, maybe even after a vote, depending who you ask. And so you have to know when the year starts and the year stops, and that's got the connotations of that halacha as well. And there's a few other things, and they have halachic connotations of when the Rosh Hashanah is, when the New Year is. Why specifically according to Beis Shammai, is the day Rosh Chodesh Shvat, or according to Beis Hillel, is the day the 15th day of Shvat? And the answer is because there is something about the sap rises in the tree, and it's actually like regenerates. In Australia, obviously, we have the evergreen trees, but in North America and Israel and all other countries where they have a decent winter, they have deciduous trees, and therefore, when the sap starts rising in the trees, it's actually almost like a regeneration of the trees. It's almost like the new year starting. It's the new year of growth, the new year for halacha, the new year for Mason, the new year for Truma, for Orla. There was one other halacha. Give me a second. Somebody will come back. Shemitah, my apologies, of course. Shemitah also, you have to know when is the Shemitah for Yerakis is Rosh Hashanah, whereas Shemitah for fruit is 15th day of Shvat. The Rebbe points out, if the sap starts rising in the tree, and that's what's happening on the 15th day of Shvat, the trees begin to regenerate. And therefore, it takes a full, sometimes a year of growth. And in the case of an Esther tree, it's said in Botnet and Chazal, it actually takes 3 years of growth. And in the case of a palm tree, it actually takes 70 years of growth. Why do we celebrate the 15th day of Shvat by eating fruit? The fruit's not ready. The fruits aren't growing yet. The fruits are growing over the course of the coming year. Celebrate the tree by going out and, admiring a tree, or going out and looking for sap, or looking for buds, or looking for something. But it's got nothing to do with fruit. There is no fruit on the trees, and there's nothing per se that's happening today that's got anything worth celebrating. I also saw in my readings that there's a custom to tell a Hasidic story on 15th day of Shvat. It didn't say it, in fact, it wasn't a Chabad necessarily custom, so I'll tell a story I come across which is a non-Chabad Hasidic story, if you will, but it might have bearing on the question the Rebbe asked and the answer the Rebbe is about to give. I read this, I actually found it quite a fascinating story about a chassid of Reb Chaim van Tunya, who is the second son of Rabbi of Vizhnitz. But this chassid was quite a wealthy guy, and he used to get a lot of kiruvim from his Rebbe. He used to get a lot of joy, a lot of connection. The Rebbe would give him, would go to walks with him, would talk to him, would smile at him. The chassid responded because he was a wealthy chassid, and I'm not saying the Rebbe was nice to him because he was wealthy, but rather because the Rebbe was so nice to him, the wealthy chassid responded by giving large sums of money to his Rebbe's pet projects, to his tzedakos, to all the activities that the Rebbe found important and the Rebbe used to collect for. So this chassid's name was Melech, and the Chaim was the Rebbe, and they had this wonderful relationship. The other Hasidim weren't so enthralled with this relationship. The other Hasidim looked at this guy and they said, he's a bit of a faker. We think, on the face of it, he's Torah and he gives money to tzedakah and he walks around looking really from, he walks around looking really exciting and really happy and really religious and really spiritual. But it's felt it. He's just not it. He's not really that full. And who knows what he's doing in the privacy of his own home. But on the face of it, the other Hasidim, as long as a guy's doing the right thing in public and he's giving money to tzedakah, so then you can put up with almost anything. But then the guy crossed the line. He did something which the Hasidim were absolutely appalled at, or flabbergasted, or just disgusted. That he took his son, or he allowed his son out of the cheder, and he put his son into the Maskilim school. There was in Antonia, there was a school that was affiliated with the Haskalah, with the early Enlightenment, and this Chassid's son was enrolled in that school. And they came to the Rebbe and said, "You're giving so many kiruvim, you're giving so much friendship and so much love to this guy. What kind of example is he setting? What chance do we have to bring out our children with proper chinuch when he's doing this?" So Reb Chaim called him in and actually showed him, originally he was actually trying to placate him and to suggest to him and explain to him the importance of a chinuch and explain to him why he should put his kid into the school. And the guy said, "Look, it's really not me, it's my son. He's the one who wants to go to that school, but I can actually understand it. Because he wants a rounded education. He wants to be a man in the streets. Obviously he'll be a yid in his house, but he'll be a man in the streets, which was the early reform category. Be in the home and be a man in the streets. And that's what he's going to do. Obviously we're from at home, and obviously I'm your chassid, but he wants to know, he wants to be a man of the world." So when it came to this, when it came to push Sham, the Rebbe is no more Mr. Nice Guy. So I'm giving you an ultimatum. You either pull your son out of that school, or you're not my chassid. I don't want to look in your face again. I cannot have anything to do with you anymore. So he was quite distraught. He was absolutely taken aback by this. Never go to see my Rebbe, never be given this kiruv, never get this love, never get to be the front row seat at the Farbrengen or the Tish. And he was about to do it, and he thought to himself, listen, my son is right. He's actually asking for the right thing. He wants to know what's going on in the world. He wants to be the interceder between the Jewish people and the Goyim. He's doing it in Shem Shemaim. Clearly, I'm going to have to get myself a different Rebbe. It's the obvious thing. If the Rebbe doesn't work for you, get yourself a new Rebbe. So he actually found himself a new Rebbe. He went to Yisrael Vizhnitz, who was the older brother of Reb Chaim Antonia, the older son of the Makor Baruch, of the Baruch Vizhnitz. And although Rabbi Yisrael knew exactly why his brother had thrown him out, he took him in with open arms. And whatever love his first Rebbe showed him, Rabbi Yisrael showed him even more. And whatever kiruvim he'd been receiving in the past, and whatever kavod he'd been receiving, he was receiving even more. So this guy realized I've made the right decision. I found a much better Rebbe. My first Rebbe was a Kanoi. My first Rebbe, Chaim, was someone that you can't speak to. He doesn't understand the ways of the world. Now I've got myself a far more open-minded Rebbe. Which parenthetically, when I teach the Kana girls, I teach them about the concept of what takana is. That we don't really pass in takonas anymore. Why don't we have takonas anymore? Because the concept of a takonas has to be enforceable. So, for example, people remember Rabbi Groner's when he brought in the takana against buying the Murray Perch. Remember Murray Perch? Huh? Murray Perch. Every Yiddish balabosnak that Murray Perch for Pesach. It was a beautiful fish. It was a white fish. It would make the best gefilte fish. And every year right before Pesach, the price would double. And they'd always tell us there's a season. It didn't matter if there's an Rishon or a Sheni. We knew exactly what season was. The fishmongers would make it. So the Rabbi Groner one year made a consumer boycott. He said, anyone who agrees with me, anyone who follows my psak, we will not buy Murray Perch this year. It's a time-honored thing, consumer boycott, in order to teach them a lesson. We're not pushing around. And it worked, sort of. The people who were accorded respect to Rabbi Groner didn't buy that year. The other people found cheaper fish. It was almost like a lose-win situation. And I remember Rabbi Groner at the time telling me, he said that the Lev Simcha, when he brought in his takonas about overspending on weddings, that the takonas, they were so called that you can't have more than 2 courses of a meal, you can't have more than 30 people who aren't your family at the wedding, in order to keep the price, and people shouldn't be trying to keep up with the Joneses, with the Cohens. So Rabbi Groner, I remember at the time saying that a guy came to the Lev Simcha and said to him, it's a really brilliant idea what you're doing. These takonas make sense, but I can afford a better class of wedding for my daughter. And the Lev Simcha told him, you can afford a better Rebbe. You can afford a better class of Rebbe. And Rabbi Greenbaum was saying at the time, it's not really a takana. Why is it not really a takana? Because a takana has to have teeth. A takana has to have enforceability. That either civil penalties or capital punishment or whatever it is that has to be enforced. If it's not a takana, and if it's not enforceable, then whatever respect you accord to your Rebbe, that's how you'll keep it or not. So the Rebbe himself said about himself that he doesn't make that. He made suggestions. He asked us to do things. I remember Osher Farkash, who was my mentor when I was a Bach, and I was this table's age. Osher told me once that I think he told me he was sitting at Farbrengen or someone told him, and the Rebbe was speaking at Farbrengen about how it's an important thing that every Yid should learn every day some alternative Shulchan Aruch. And the Rebbe spoke about how important it was and how it was going to translate into your lives, and you were going to have some halacha, and you have to kachan, and everybody was sitting there waiting bated breath. And the Rebbe gave every single suggestion about how it's so important, except for one word. He didn't actually say, do it. So therefore, since he didn't say do it, everybody walked out and going, oh, Baruch Hashem. So, because the Rambam, the Rebbe said to do, but this thing, he didn't actually say to do, so therefore he didn't have to do it. I remember Osher crying about it at the time. He was saying that, and he was saying about how Rabbi Nissan in France walked out of Yechidus once crying. Why did Rabbi Nissan walk out of Yechidus crying? Because the Rebbe, he was telling the Rebbe that the Bachim in France and Brunei aren't keeping up with everything I'm telling him, everything demanding, everything I'm suggesting. So the Rebbe said, you should take a leaf out of my book. Every single time before I introduce a new suggestion, new idea, new mitzvah, new plot, a new anything, I think very close to myself, and I pick the tune, I take the pulse, I don't know exactly the words that are used obviously, of the community, and if I can get 50% buy-in, if I can get 50% of the people will actually do it, will actually keep it, whoever I'm aiming at, then I'll actually suggest it. And if I don't think I'm going to get 50% buy-in, I don't suggest it. So why did Elisha walk out crying? He said, I think these are how many more things the Rebbe wanted us to do, but he never suggested it because he didn't think he was going to get the buy-in. He didn't think he was going to get the 50% commitment. It's an extraordinary thought. So, these aren't takonas. When the Rebbe said that you choose voluntarily to become a chassid, you choose voluntarily to follow what the Rebbe wants. So you give up your leib, your nefesh, your soul, whatever it is you give up to fulfilling it. So back to our story of the guy who's become a chassid now of the of Rabbi Vishnitz. So he loves it. I finally got a broad-minded Rebbe who sees me for my worth, who sees me for my value, and he only suggests things that are worthwhile or intelligent or worth doing. So Rabbi Sol took him for a walk one day. And they were walking through the parks, and they were walking the thing, and it was a lovely day, and the sun was shining, and it was just him and his Rebbe. It was just him and like two mates walking together, and he was on cloud nine. He was thinking, this is the greatest gift I've ever got. I finally got a Rebbe who understands me. And the Rebbe, and the Sol told him a story. And he says, I remember when I was a little Cheder kid. And when I was a Cheder kid, Erev Pesach, the Rebbetzin kicked us out of the house because she wanted to. The rabbi, the wife of my teacher, my Cheder teacher, kicked us out of his house because she wanted to clean up. So we had to sit and learn in the front yard. And we're sitting and learning in the front yard, and it's very hard for kids to concentrate. You know, there's trees going there, there's wagons going by, and there's birds. We were kids, we couldn't really learn. So the Rebbe decided not to waste our time, at least teach us something useful. He started pointing out the trees that you recognize. This is the walnut tree, this is a pear tree, this is an apple tree, and we looked at him and said, look, it's Erev Pesach. All we see is wood. It's in Europe, it's just coming off a hard winter. And how can you tell which one tree from the other? So he started pointing out to us, you see, this trunk is more smooth, this trunk is more knotted, and this has got higher branches, this one's got lower base. You can tell which tree is which type of fruit. But we were kids, and we couldn't really understand, and we thought it was an occult science. A month or two later, we actually realised he knew what he was talking about, and we could also think for ourselves which tree was what. Because you could look at each tree, and you can decide that that's an apple tree, that's a pear tree, that's a walnut tree, because you've got the fruit. A month or two later, they budded, they sprouted, there's fruits. So therefore, by definition, we knew which tree it was. So Yisrael looks at this Relezer, the Chassid says to him, yeah, you're religious and you're spiritual and all these things, but you're not till we see how your kids turn out. And once we see how your kids turn out, then we know what type of tree they grew on. He put his kid back into the cheder and back from school the next day. So I read this story and I thought to myself, it's very, very interesting that this is actually almost like the answer that the Rebbe is giving to his question. So I'll repeat that some people weren't here. The Rebbe's question was that on the Chamisha Asar B'Shvat is not the beginning of growing season of fruits. There are no fruits on the tree. It is the beginning when the sap is rising in the fruit. It is the beginning of the Rosh Hashanah when the new year of trees starts, that it starts regenerating, it starts regrowing. And so why do we celebrate it by eating fruit? It's got nothing, on the face of it, it's got nothing to do with eating fruit. That's what the Rebbe asked. And the Rebbe gave an answer. He says that if you look at it, every single person, when they start doing something, they're actually in a long-term goal. They're actually thinking long-term of where you're intending to be in the end. I remember when we were learning in Eretz Yisrael, we learned it very often. He sat there and he started talking about Seder Shtalshus. And the first week of the year, he was talking about Seder Shtalshus and all these things. And he started to explain to us that nobody builds a house if you don't know what the end result's going to be. Nobody starts building a ground floor if you don't know what the finished product was going to be. And that's how he put it into terms of what the end result of the Seder Shtalshus is going to be, the final of our world, of what we're doing. And so therefore, by definition, the Rebbe says that what a person is, when the Elisha starts creating, it's the end result is already preordained. And when a person starts working on his kids, the reason why we have kids is the end result of what you're aiming for, what you're doing. It's the fruit at the end. Chamisha Asar B'Shvat is the beginning of the regeneration of the fruits, but the culmination of the process is fulfilled when we have a fruit. And that's what we're aiming for in advance. That's what we're thinking about. Therefore, we have the fruit almost like as a precursor to what we are starting on, what we're embarking on. The whole concept of a new year, the whole concept of a Rosh Hashanah, the whole concept of a regeneration, of a new opportunity, of a new start, is you celebrate that by holding the end result in front of you and looking at it saying, that's what I want to achieve, that's what I want to bring into being, that's what I want to have at the end. And that's the fruit, that's what we're going. If you think about it, that also would explain what was the question we asked right at the very beginning, that it's the one Rosh Hashanah there's machlokes about. Rosh Hashanah of Rishon the Tishrei, everybody agrees. And the first day of Elul, everybody agrees. But the first day of Nisan, but the first day of Shvat versus the 15th day of Shvat is machlokes Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. And the Rebbe explained that this was a distinction between Chesed of Beis Hillel and the Gvura of Beis Shammai. But he also says that the distinction between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai can be encapsulated in another concept, another differentiation. That when we go to a wedding, what do we say to the bride? And Beis Shammai says you praise the bride based on her malis and based on the levels that she's achieved. You say what she is. And Beis Hillel you say Kesim Rakim Nekala, that every colour is beautiful. Every colour is extraordinary, every colour is wonderful, and you look at the purpose, you look at the end result. And the Rebbe says actually that's also true about Yiddish Kindler, and that's also true about Yiddish Kindler, and that's also true about our purpose for having kids, and our purpose for embarking on a new Rosh Hashanah, and our purpose for starting a new beginning. That we have in ourselves the capability, and people care deeply about Yiddishkeit, people care deeply about Kindler. And it hurts incredibly, this is not the Rebbe, this is my take on it, that although everybody wants the best for Chinuch, and everybody wants the best obviously for their own children, part of wanting the best for your own children is recognising that everybody wants the best for their children as well. And that everybody wants the end result. The end result is the payers, the end result is the fruits, which we start off with. Maybe some people in the community might choose to go different ways and make different purposes and make different paths in order to get that. But chas v'shalom to knock someone else's choices, and chas v'shalom to say someone else's by having either stayed or left on a different chinuch, they're less involved or less committed to the end result as I am, or less committed to the end goal as I am. We start off at the beginning wanting the best at the end. We might not see it at the very beginning. We might not see that fruit on the tree on Chamisha Asar Shvat, but that's all we're aiming for. And I don't like to use the word arrogance, but it's an unfairness to discount someone else's chinuch or fruits before seeing what the end results are going to be, first of all, of your own fruits, of your own things, but also without knowing what someone else's intentions, not someone else's goals, not someone else's aspirations are. And I would like to suggest that maybe that's what the Rebbe is saying. That's what he's pointing out. He says that every colour is beautiful. Every colour has got the chesed within it. Every single one has got that same gifts. And therefore, every single one of us also, please God, should be blessed that the end result of our starting, the end result of our putting ourselves into the chinuch of our children, the end result of our caring about our kids' schooling should be that we started off with a picture of the fruit. We started off with a picture on Chamisha Asar B'Shvat of what we want to achieve. Please God, at the end of the year, when it comes to Shana Shniya, comes to Shana Shlishis, when it comes to the concept of the Maisa, of giving the tithe to the Elisha, when it comes to the concept of giving the Olah, when you finally enjoy the fruit, and maybe even the concept of the Shemitah, the separate settings, this time that we set aside ourselves to God, please God, we should all see that end result, that perfect fruit, and we should all be blessed with that.
Getting attention every English study, so go up to
About 15 years ago now, I got a phone call when I was first starting my Miller career. When you first start, nobody wants to use you. Nobody wants to use a new moil. So you tend to travel a fair bit because people live overseas and interstate and can't be choosers. So, and also you've got a lot more time on your hand. So I got a phone call from a young 19-year-old Israeli guy who's living in New Zealand with a 37-year-old Sydney girl, both Jewish. And she'd been pregnant for a while, and she'd been pregnant. Well, during the pregnancy, let's put it that way, during the pregnancy, they rang up Auckland to arrange a bris, and Auckland said, listen, we have a deal that we bring whaling down for the community members, if you remember, and it's very, very expensive, and we pay half, and the community member pays half. You won't be able to afford it, just use a local doctor, you'll be fine. And it was quite rude, the way they treated him. To his credit, he kept on looking, and he found somehow or other someone who said, I know a young rabbi who's
eager,
desperate, willing to travel to do a bris under any circumstances. One of the things I learned from my father, one of the things that I still thank God I managed to do to this day, I've never told anyone a minimum price for a bris, never told someone a price, because I never want anyone to say they can't afford a moil. So at the time he told me, would you come for nothing? And I think in retrospect, I can't remember, but there was a few at that time where I was fundraising for the plane ticket as well. But anyway, so I went down to a place called Nelson, New Zealand, and at the time I said to him, we spoke on the mail, and I did the Biriyadis and proved he was Jewish and she was Jewish, which was even more important. And I said, can you get a minion? He started laughing at me. He said, we're living in a tiny, tiny shtetl in New Zealand. I know one other local Jew. There's a guy who owns a local cafe. His name is Itzik. You ain't getting a minion. So I said to him, you know, as you do, you say, try. And I hung up the phone, and I got on the plane a week later, and I flew there, and I landed there, and he came to pick me up, and also it's like 3 flights. It's awful. New Zealand's not open for business. Even the flight to Auckland takes, you can't get in and out in a day and do a Brisbane. But to fly to one of the other smaller satellites, it's just forever. It takes you basically, you're away from home for over 2 days. It's crazy. So I said to him, as I get off the plane, I'm meeting, he said, yeah, minyan. I said, you're kidding me. I said to try, you know, just being nice. How on earth did you get a minion? So I knew Itzik. Itzik knew 2 others. The others knew one other. There's apparently a bunch of backpackers going through this area, so that we spread the word among the backpackers. Yeah, minyan. So I got to the bris. There was over 15 Jews already waiting for me, and people kept on coming. They just kept on flipping through the door. Unfortunately, a bunch of them were married out, but the others, you know, were living out. But the others, there was this extraordinary bonhomie, was this joy. People were excited. They're meeting each other. They're meeting other Jews. Each one of them had thought they were the only Jew in the town. I remember one of them was, and they're drinking l'chaim, and they're just talking, and I hear, you know, one of them is like, and they said, what do you do for a living? And he says, I'm a pilot for Air New Zealand. I should stop drinking soon. I've got a flight. I reached for his hand. I said, wait a second, I've got a flight soon as well. Where are you going? And he was going somewhere else. I let him finish his drink. So and then I said to they had one married Jewish couple, some guy, they'd driven in from the outskirts of Nelson. They were the Kvat and Kvatzerin. And I said to him as a joke, call me back in 9 months. Right? You know, I did the bris and I go back to Melbourne and everything's fine. And 9 months later I get a phone call from this couple, the Kvat and Kvatzerin.
She was pregnant for a while, wasn't she?
Yeah. So I say to the guy, I said, minyan. He says, minyan? What are you talking about? We meet every second week. Every 2 weeks we meet. Once a month, Shuli Zayans was then the rabbi in Wellington, flies down to us to give us a shir. And the other time, so, you know, once every 2 weeks, so he's one of those 2 weeks cycles, that's when we get together for social events. So we're meeting as a community. The second bris, there was over 60 people. Okay? Within a few years, they were having regular meetings, they were having regular get-togethers, they were having Pesach Seder's of over 200 people there. They found out there were so many backpackers coming through the town. It was the most extraordinary thing. And now, Baruch Hashem, then there was a couple, these English couple who moved down there. They were tree changing. They were from England. He was a dentist. She was, I can't remember. And they moved down to Nelson, New Zealand, in order to have to tree change. We're going to have a relax. It's going to be semi-retired. And suddenly they realized they're the only Judaism in the area. And suddenly their house became the hub for Judaism in the area. It was the most extraordinary thing, right? And now, Baruch Hashem, there's a shliach in the area. It's an incredible thing. There was, for many years, the guy who was running was this guy Yitzhak from the cafe. He had, if I remember correctly, by the time he left and went back to Israel, he had, I think, 9 or 10 cafes on the waterfront, all belonged to him. I'm not sure exactly the numbers or the details, but he was doing very, very well. But he became frum, and he was sitting and learning all day, and he moved back to Israel. And one of the guys told me on the second visit there was, he actually grew up frum. This guy had grown up frum. And he said, I hated it. I hated Yiddishkeit. I hated every moment of my childhood and of my schooling and my education, of spending time in my parents' house, and I could not see myself doing anything Jewish, anything religious. It was absolutely, it echoed me. It was just beyond, it was beyond revulsion. It was hate. I abhorred it. And he says, but suddenly I'm looking around, and I'm meeting Chabadnikim, I'm meeting you, and I'm meeting Rabbi Zion, so I'm meeting this thing. I said, you guys are actually enjoying your Yiddishkeit. You're enjoying what you're doing. You're smiling, you're friendly, you care. Now, people who know me from my youth know that I'm not necessarily the most smiling, the most joyful, and the most happy type of guy. I'm a natural Morosh Chera who therefore by definition puts on, every time I speak to someone, every time, especially in my shul, how you going? Oh, it's fantastic, it's wonderful, it's extraordinary, you cannot put in a superlative that I haven't tried to use. And you actually can change your whole way of speaking, you can actually change your whole methodology, your whole purpose, just from actually speaking that way, to the extent that if you speak to people from my shul, I'm sure they will tell you, oh, Rabbi Greenbaum, he's always positive, Rabbi Greenbaum you can do it, you can actually make it happen, you can do that especially when and you can actually put on joy. As my father tells his stories, the Rebbe many times about the Rebbe showed how you can turn on joy. But this stuck in my mind was this concept that he says, I hated Judaism until I met Jews who enjoyed Judaism. He'd grown up doing it because it was something you were forced to do. It was something you had to do. And I'd like to suggest some of the ideas I came across when I was reading, especially the Rebbe stuff on the Hamishas Shvat, 15th day of Shvat. The Rebbe points out, and this is one of the things he actually sends you to Moed Baloch, he sends you to Rabbi Zevin. Where is the mocker that Hamishas Shvat is a Yom Tov? Why on earth is it a Yom Tov? Why, for example, we can talk about Tachnun later if we've got time, but definitely the concept that we treat it as a Yom Tov, we act on it as a Yom Tov. Oh, even for the fact that we don't say Tachnun. We don't say Tachnun on the Hamishas Shvat. Why on earth would that be? Where's the source for that? What's the background to that? There's nothing that we actually do. There's nothing actually that would suggest it become a Yom Tov. It's not actually written in, obviously not written in Teresh itself. But even Teresh Malpeh, it's not written there that it's a Yom Tov, or that there's no Tachnun on the day. Even in the early, the Gemara, the earliest time that we mention anything about Tachnun is actually in Rishonim. Rottenberg writes some of the other, it's a reference that might be the Shem Rabbeinu Gershom Meragoela, that's who's saying, we're not sure if it really is him. And by the time he gets to the Magen Avraham, when the Rebbe quotes, the Magen Avraham talks about that we must speak in Behem, we don't, if the Bahab falls out on one of those days, you don't do a Bahab you don't do the fast of Bahab if it falls out on Hamishas Shvat. And so, the seven groups of three. Sorry, my apologies. I think I looked it up today, but I don't remember exactly. My remembrance is actually the Magen Avraham actually uses the word Bahab. He's referencing obviously the extended ones, but if I remember correctly, I can look it up again. So, but why? Reference, reason, background. And the only thing people can really come up with, the only thing they can actually suggest is that it's actually because the Mishnah groups them all together. There's Rosh Hashanah on Rosh Tishrei, there's Rosh Hashanah on Echad B'Nisan, there's Rosh Hashanah on Rosh Chodesh of Elul, which anyway, Rosh Chodesh Elul and Rosh Chodesh Nisan, we don't say Tachnun anyhow. So therefore, because they're all grouped together, and those are Rosh Hashanahs, those are Yom Tovim, so therefore, Hamishas Shvat is also a 15th day, is also a, to the extent that you don't say Tachnun on it. It seems reasonably, I don't know to you, it seems reasonably weak. It doesn't seem that that's the most definitive, the most descriptive reason why you would avoid a Tachnun. Now, I know everybody loves missing a Tachnun. Alright? As the one perk of being, not the one perk, but one of the biggest perks of being a moel is walking in the first minyan and just seeing everybody smiling at you. Right? Interestingly enough, also, I was going to say later, I might as well say now that I've mentioned this, the Rebbe mentions, what's so great about not saying Tachnun? I mean, if you think about it, listen, I think that they say the name of the Safarov, I've heard it saying other Goyim, they say that if the Goyim realize how much Hanoah Yid has in Yom She'enam and Tachnun, they'd all be gay right away. Right? It's the greatest pleasure. Okay, I can understand on a Monday and Thursday. But if you time a minyan, the average minyan, especially the first minyan, right, on a non-Monday and Thursday, how long are they actually saving on a Tachnun? It would have to be less than a minute. Right? Come on, maybe about a minute and a half. Huh? Okay, and even the, let's be honest, and even the slow minyan, even the 8:30 minyan, even Rabbi Sabach's minyan, okay? How long does a tachnun take? It doesn't take long. But why are people so excited? People are so joyful. It's like all our birthdays came at once. So, the Rebbe says, why are you enjoying the fact there's no tachnun? Why would you want to look for opportunities not to say tachnun? Tachnun is an opportunity to cleanse away sins, to connect yourself with the Elisha, to anything you've done wrong. You can clear it. You can ameliorate it. You can rectify it. I don't know. The Rebbe says that sounds great. That sounds wonderful. And why would we then be looking on? Say tachnun. It's a good day. It's a perfect day to actually connect with the Elisha and then cleanse your sins. So the Rebbe says you must by definition say, and this is actually quite beautiful, that a yom she'omrim tachnun, the correction that you get is as good as your tachnun. Which I don't know, the present company excluded my tachnun, alright? And I don't know if everybody's tachnun is as great as it should be. But in yom she'omrim tachnun, the Elisha takes care of it for you. The Elisha clears it away. Everything that was supposed to be attended to by you saying tachnun properly, and even though the best you could possibly say tachnun, you're still not saying it as best as you could. On a yom she'omrim tachnun, Hashem does it for you, and that's something to celebrate. That's something. And so clearly, what happens is when a yid walks into shul and sees the lights on, right, and he knows it's because someone's wearing a long black coat, right, and it's just like yes, it's clearly because they know that day my everything's been cleansed, everything's been cleared, everything's perfect. That's no, I'm sympathizing with this, right? But back to our original question. Okay, so the 15th day of Shvat, you don't say tachnun because the other days, which are grouped together in the same Mishnah, you also don't say tachnun. It doesn't seem so great. Is that halacha? It's not even really. The Rebbe brings out, and the other Mephoshim bring out. The Rebbe says first of all, because the Magen Avraham says it. He called it a Yom Tov, therefore by definition, by halacha it must be a Yom Tov. Since by halacha it must be a Yom Tov, therefore it applies to all Yidden, no matter how you celebrate the 15th day of Shvat, no matter what you do, whether you have a Seder, or whether you say the Seder, or whether you just eat fruit, whatever you think, it is Dova Shavel Chol Nefesh, because it's Sfardi, Ashkenaz, whatever it says, because the Magen Avraham calls it a Yom Tov, so therefore it is an absolute Yom Tov. But where's the background? Where's the source? Where's the strength of this Yom Tov? Where does it come from? So it says sometimes something which doesn't come necessarily from the stronger source can have a greater fidelity to Yiddishkeit and connection. And he gives some examples. He says, which do people, first of all, which are people more joyful for? Nisach Yayin, which is Midoraisa, when they do the wine libation. Or Nisach Mayim, which is a Halacha L'Moshe Messina. Also Doraisa, sorry, he didn't say it's not Doraisa. Halacha L'Moshe Messina is Doraisa, but it's not written in Torah itself. Right? It's handed down through the Chachamim. Clearly, we all know, Ein Simcha, like the Nisach Mayim, is the single greatest joy. But then take something which is definitely not Doraisa. It's purely Minah. Hakafas. Hakafas on Simchas Torah, which is purely minhag, people even give greater joy, and greater fidelity, and greater connection, and they sit and dance all night. Once upon a time, they might have danced in Simchas Beis Sheva all night, and maybe the Rebbe brought it back in. The Rebbe, one of the other Yom Tovim, the Rebbe reclaimed, the Rebbe invented, like Hanukkah and Purim. That's a subject for another Farbrengen. But Hakafas, the Rebbe points out, people absolutely connect themselves to it, even though it's minhag. And therefore he says that this is the enjoyment, this is something which a minhag does for you. People, when they have this, now, a minhag can lead to Australia. This is not from there, but I've seen this myself. And minhag, was Elisha's game. And I saw this in my Kehillah once. I saw this one of my community members. She was telling me once that my family custom, we do it every year at the Seders, we have a brisket. I didn't start telling you about not supposed to roast meat and stuff, it's too hard. At the Seder, she has a brisket. At the family Pesach Seder every year, they take it in turns, her mother and her sister, who's going to cook the brisket. They talk about the brisket, they trade recipes, it's all about the brisket. That's Seder time. She says one year, it was the Goyish Chaga of whatever, something like a Friday. And so therefore, the day before Seder, the butcher shops were closed. And she hadn't ordered a brisket. She told me, she said, I had no choice. I went to Coles, I bought a brisket, and we served that at the Seder. Now this was before Coles was selling kosher meat, so this is, now that's when minhag can lead you astray. That's when minhag is esis gehinim. Because that's when, then you have to know what's halacha, what's d'oraisa, what's d'rabbanan, what's real Judaism, and what's just a brisket. However, when it comes to something like Hamishas of Shvat, the Rebbe says that this is actually, these are the minhagim which enjoyment. These are the minhagim which people, they celebrate their Yiddishkeit. These are the type of Yiddishkeit that my friend in Nelson told me that I'd never seen before, and now I've seen it, and I want some of that. And the Rebbe said, it's a different sikh, this one is in Tavshin Mem Ches, but he also said a very, very similar thing in Tavshin Mem Dalet. He spoke about the fact that, right, we celebrate Hamishas of Shvat. How do we celebrate it? By eating the Shiva Minim, right? They just saw the Farbrengen. Well, actually, we don't. I mean, in my family, my elder brother, she came from Yerushalayim with the minhag. We have 15 fruits, so we're very makbid. We have 15 fruits. It's our family minhag. It's a Lobasi, the only family minhag. We have 15 fruits. But the Futsi says, what do they eat? They eat the Shiva Minim. They do not eat the Shiva Minim. Which are the two minim we don't eat? We don't eat the Chitan Seirah. Nobody makes a big fuss. Although Herschel told me right before the Farbrengen that one year the Rebbe spoke about you can either have pearls or pearl barley, but I hadn't seen that before. I didn't see whether it was said, so I'm going to have to tell me the year. But nobody makes one to the Rebbe. People don't make a big fuss about eating bread. People don't eat barley on the 15th day of Shvat. What do they eat? The other 5 minutes. Huh? Why the fruits? And the Rebbe says, this is an extraordinary thing. He says, bread is a necessity of life. You have to eat to live. You have to have the bread. You have to, those are your, give us the, these are our daily bread that we have to eat in order to live, in order to be human, in order to be healthy, in order to continue life. Unless, of course, you tell everybody you're gluten intolerant. But fruit is not a necessity of life. Fruit is joy. Fruit is enjoyment. Fruit is the fun parts. And the Rebbe says, what is it the excitement? What is it that people actually hold on to? What is it that keeps people full? What is it that people connect to? The necessities or the fun? People connect to the fun. People connect to the enjoyments. You could theoretically in life just do the regular minimum. You could hold on to your Yiddishkeit, you could do the minimum, you could hand on the minimum, you can give that to the next generation. But that's not going to excite anyone. That's not going to make anyone happy. If you want someone to actually hold on and pass it on, you've got to do more than the minimum. And the way you do more than the minimum is by enjoying what you do. If you're not enjoying it, you do what you have to do. No, I don't know how about you. I've never met anyone who went to the dentist one more time than they had to. Okay? You have to go to the dentist, but it's not somewhere that you joyfully schedule your next visit back and you start looking forward to anticipating your calendar and you start wondering, when's the next time I can get back to this? It's a necessity of life, unfortunately. But it's not something that people enjoy. The Rebbe says if you want someone to enjoy, if you want something, you give them the fruit of life. That's what's going to hold on. That's what they're going to pass on, and that's what they're going to do. And it will be. I realise that I'm supposed to be winding up. It may time be a few minutes before 9:30. So I'll just finish off with what the Rebbe said. There's actually the connection between this week's Parsha and 15th day of Shvat. Parsha's Yisro. Yisro, Lashon Yeser. And doing more. Connecting, being more. If you want to have a Yiddishkeit, if you want to have someone who buys in, someone who opts in, someone who passes it down, someone who is a Yisro, someone who wants to have a parsha named after him, it's got to be by doing yes, it's got to be doing more than the necessity, more than the minimum. But he also says, this is the extraordinary thing, that he says that what day did Yisro give Vayibam Acharas? The next day. What's the next day? When did the Yisro start giving his suggestions? Start being a shver? Start knocking on Moshe's shoulder and telling him what he should be doing in life? That Yom Kippur. Right? Yeah. So if it's there after Yom Kippur, What did the Tzemach Tzedek tell the Marash? What's the avoid of the Yom Kippur? And then Marash walked into the Tzemach Tzedek and said, sorry? Shabbat Fidika? Jetzt darf man erst Tshuvaton?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, fine. So what did he have to do? He asked him the day after Yom Kippur, now what do you do? What's the avodah today? He says, now you've got to start doing Tshuva. Now you've got to start doing connection. He says, the very first person who did that was Yisrael. The day after Yom Kippur, walked around and says, what more can we add to our Yiddishkeit? What more can we do? What more can we do to enjoy it? What more can we be? The most depressed form person I've ever met in my life, the person who enjoyed Yiddishkeit the least, is a guy who used to live up in Merabah when I first got there. When I first got there, I still do it. I don't do it as much as I used to. I wish I could. I used to go door knocking. I'd knock on doors, and this was advice. It was probably the best piece of shulchan advice I ever got. I got it from Shimshon Yurkovich. That when he told me, knock on people's doors and never tell them in advance you're coming. Right? He says, knock on a door, you will be automatically the friendliest rabbi they've ever met in their life. No rabbi's ever knocked on their door before. And the people that I'm closest to, the people I've had the most connection to, the people I've had the greatest effect on, the people who are now members and committed and come to shiur and stuff like that, they started off knocking on the door. But the one time one of my earliest days in Rabbi, I knocked on a door, it was on Rollins Road, and it was the most extraordinary thing. A guy came to the door and he's wearing a yarmulke. And I didn't think there was anyone in Rabbi wearing a yarmulke. And there's a guy called Bill Mann, and I went in and got to speak, got to know him. He was a child Holocaust survivor, who'd spent his whole life was in Brisbane and then he'd moved to Melbourne about 15 years before that. He kept Shabbos religiously. Now, you think everyone keeps Shabbos religiously. No, he really kept Shabbos religiously. He kept it because it's by law, because you have to do it, and he'd keep it. And he wore a yarmulke, and he hated kosher, and he hated every single minute of it. Wow. He did it because he felt he had to, because this is what he was told you have to do in order to be a Yid. And I personally don't know where he had that emotional, spiritual courage to keep on doing something for 80 odd years. He was a chain smoker, cancer near the end, and he kept it up. He put on tefillin every day till he couldn't control his bowels anymore, and then he said in Shulchan Aruch, you don't have to put on tefillin under those circumstances, so he didn't put on tefillin. Because that's what it says. Right? I don't know. I still to this day, I didn't get friendly with him. It was very, very hard to become friendly with him. I got as friendly with him as a person could be. I'd go there so often. He'd fight with me, he'd throw me out, I'd apologize, I'd come back. The guy, please God, he should have a lift to He was an extraordinary guy. But unfortunately, there's no kid. He never had any kids, but unfortunately, he left his money to the JNF. And I told the JNF, this guy is a full guy, do something useful, do something purposeful, do something that he deserved. And they put up a bird watching nest in his name. To my mind, that's tragic. This is a guy who kept shut, this is a guy who kept kosher, this is a guy who put on tefillin every day, and his kiyum is a bird eye. Okay? The kiyum that we are hoping to please God, the kiyum that we are hoping to pass down to our children, here that we are hoping to be, that the peiros which we hold in our hands are ready at the beginning on the 15th day of Shvat, while in the northern hemisphere, and while in Eretz Yisrael, the trees aren't producing anything. But we're looking into the long term, and we're looking in order to have the fruit, and we know what we want to. We want that end result. We want to have the peiros either please God from our own children, or if not from our own children, please the peiros, the impact we have in other people's lives, and the Rebbe's word to the Shana. The Vandacha, the Rebbe explains to us, is that the people you impact, you change their lives for better. That we are giving them that, and how is that going to be? Yes, you have to do because you have to do it. You have to have the bread, you have to have the wheat, you have to have the necessities of life. But if we can turn on the joy, if we can turn on the fact of the excitement, if we can, even if you don't necessarily feel it at the time, but you can pretend you do, and you can talk to other people as if you do, and you can walk around with it starts off as a fake smile on your face, and please God, it actually becomes a real smile. And it actually becomes the Yiddishkeit that you are promoting, that you are talking, is it something that you are actually enjoying doing? And that, please God, those are the minhagim, those are the things that people are going to remember, those are the things that people are going to please God are going to keep, and those are the peiros that we would please God going to give us a future. Okay.